Hi there, it's Kevin Ward at YesMasters.com, helping real estate agents get more yeses and more successes in their business and in their life. So let's talk some more about stupid realtor scripts. Now, here's my stupid realtor script for today. If I brought you a buyer, or if I bring you a buyer, would you sell it? Would you sell your house if I brought you a buyer? Or even worse is if I brought you a full price cash offer, would you still sell it? Or would you still not sell it? Now, this is a typical script or approach that's used when you're calling expireds or for sale by owners or anyone who says, well, we decided not to sell. We decided to take our house off the market. I see this a lot with expired and canceled listings is the agent calls them. They say, well, we decided to take it off the market. And then one of the scripts that a lot of times agents have been taught to say is, so if I brought you a cash buyer, would you still not sell it? If I brought you a full price offer, would you sell it? Well, there's several reasons that is a stupid script. Okay, I call it BS. It's bad sales. It's typically bad sales because of this. Number one, because you don't have a buyer. That's the number one reason it's a stupid script. Now, if you legitimately have a buyer for their house and you think that buyer is going to want to buy it, then at least it's an honest script. I'm not going to get into it on this video, but it's still not the best approach. For several reasons, but the bottom line is most people that use this script aren't calling because they have a buyer. They're trying to get a listing, and guess what? The seller knows what you're doing, and they think you're a bait and switch. They think you're full of crap. So how do they respond to it? Well, if I brought you a full price cash offer, or if I brought you a buyer, would you sell it? And they say, well, what are they going to say? Bring me a buyer. Well, I need to come look at the house first to see if it fits for my buyer. And see, all the time, what the seller is saying in their mind is, you're full of it. You're full of crap. I don't believe you. I think you're lying to me. And here's what I've discovered is most agents, when they use it, are in fact lying to the sellers, which is called BS, which is totally, it makes no sense in real estate. Why do we think that to get business and to get sellers to hire us to sell their homes, we have to be full of BS? Well, here's why. We think we can talk them into selling when they really don't want to sell. Now watch. If they really want to sell, all they need to know is that you can get the job done. And they're not needing you to have a buyer. But when you say that, here's the second thing you do. The second reason it's a bad script is you are training them not to hire you to help them find a qualified buyer. But see, what you're telling them is, you don't need to list with an agent, I'll bring a buyer. Well, now you're making a connection that they don't make. And you're saying, well, the way I'm going to bring a buyer is I'm going to list it. But see, they don't think that way. They don't think that's what you mean. What they think is you have a buyer in your hip pocket and you're going to bring them over and sell the house without them having to list it. And that's the reason that you'll hear sellers say, well, look, I'm telling all the agents the same thing. If you got a buyer, bring them. I'll pay you a full commission, but I'm not going to list it. Why? Because see, they don't see a connection between listing their home and getting the best buyer for top dollar. Now, is that always the case? No, that's not always the case, but most of the time when you need that objection handler of saying, if I brought you a buyer, would you sell it? It's because they say they want to sell it, but they don't want to list it. So what do you say instead? Well, look, so here's the bottom line. Don't ever say that, because one, it creates suspicion. Number two, it trains them that they don't need to hire an agent to list and market their home, that all they need to do is hold out till an agent comes to them with a buyer. And as you and I both know, that's not the way it works. If they want to sell their home for top dollar, the best way for them to sell their home for top dollar is find a great agent that will get the property exposed through listing it and through marketing it properly to all the qualified buyers in the market that will get the best offers so they can get the best price, the best terms and price, and get their home sold. But when we say, hey, if I brought you a buyer, what we're telling them is, you don't need to hire me, you don't need to list your home with me, you just need to let me bring a buyer. So you're training them wrong, and you're also creating that resistance. So what do you say instead? Well, number one, stop focusing on what you want and start focusing on what they want. Okay, and here's what I mean by that. See, they think you just want a listing. So how about saying this? So let me ask you this. If you could get the property sold for top dollar and make this move, is that something you'd still be excited about? Now, what did I just tell them? I didn't tell them anything. I just asked them a simple question. Are you still interested in selling the property? If you could get it sold for top dollar. Now, here's what I spoke to. I spoke, number one, to their interest, not mine. See, if you say, if I brought you a buyer, they're going like, hey, show me. Yeah, prove it to me that you have a buyer. But if I say, if you could get it sold, then I'm talking from their perspective of if they could accomplish it. I'm not talking about how they're going to accomplish it. I'm just saying if you could. Is it something you'd still be excited about? Number two, I throw out there something that every seller wants, and that is top dollar. If you could, get it sold for top dollar. Is that something you would still be excited about? And I'm going with the anticipation of getting the result of not listing the house, not having a buyer come over, but of actually getting the job done, the house being sold, and them getting what they want. Is that something they'd still be interested in? Is it something they'd still be excited about? Is that something that would still be good for them financially? And when they answer yes to that question, now I've got them. Now if you want more on that, make sure that you go to my website, yesmasters.com, and subscribe for the 3 magic words video, and it will help you learn how to put all this together in a way that will lead people to say yes without the BS. You don't need any more bad scripts, bad sales techniques that's full of BS, because it just isn't right, and it just doesn't work near as good as having great skills and learning how to inspire people to say yes to you. That's the answer. Again, Kevin Ward with yesmasters.com. Look forward to talking to you real soon. Make sure you're subscribed to my website and get that 3 magic words video. It'll be awesome for you.